Right guys, handiwork back again. Moving on with this thing, starting to get the stage of painting. I've just decided to do a few little things. I've printed a couple of plates just to cover up the modulus there instead of having to fill it. Glued them on with 5-minute epoxy, seems to work, so that's fine. Also, yesterday I glued this little front piece on the foregrip just to hide the holes. All I've got to do now is just cut off the support pieces, sand that down a bit, and we're done. Now, you might be wondering about the tape. What I've decided to do is, on a couple other builds, I've sprayed printed pieces with filler primer, auto filler primer, and it's covered up the layers a bit, but I'm trying something different. So yesterday I got some Tamiya putty out, and this is the shroud that goes on the front of the scope. I filled the surface. The tape. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take advantage of the striations, the lines, by not covering this area. So that'll look like a bit of gripping surface for the soldier using the weapon. And then I'll smooth over the rest of it, fill that hole, I made a mistake, clean up the back area. So I'll get on with that, and we'll try this old putty, because the new stuff was really bad. And I'm not saying Tamiya putty is bad, but that particular tube right there was really bad. Now what I've just put on there is going on so much smoother than that one. So I'm thinking there's a hole in that tube or something, and some of the solvent's dried out. Let me just put a glove on because I want to get this all over my fingers. Yeah, it's certainly going on a lot easier than yesterday. Now, I know you can still see the striations there, but I'm hoping that the gaps between them are taking some putty up. So, if it's not gone completely, it'll at least be less noticeable. Now, this is just a flat-bladed X-Acto knife. I'm just using like a scraper. Now, I'm pretty sure with a good sand and wet and dry paper and all that sort of thing, I'll get a reasonably good finish. So I'm not really worried about how rough these things look as it is, because it's basically just, sanding, and you know how much I love that. Okay, just about out of putty and just on the last bit. And that's it. Now I've got to open a window because I'm starting to get high. Whew. What I'll do now is try a few things with this, with sanding, with wet and dry and whatever, and see if I can come up with anything that actually works. 120 with some water. Now this is a bit of 1200 with some water on it. Oh, that actually feels really nice and smooth. So I'm going to go around and do that, take off the rough with the 120 and finish it off with a bit of 1200 wet and dry. It's interesting, when I was holding it like that, the actual plastic was moving, flexing, so just be careful if you're going to do this, give it lots of support. Now it's remarkable how smooth that piece feels. These bits I've just done are still rough, but what I'm going to do is just dip my 1200 in and hit them with a bit of the 1200. Now what's that, 5-6 seconds of sanding? That feels really good. There's another option for getting rid of the print marks. Not a very good option because it's a lot of work, but if you're doing one-offs, could be worth your while. A little bit of self-promotion. I'm very close to getting an Etsy site up to sell some of my cosmetic kits, like the one for the double strike, which I call the double up. It consists of a pistol grip, two front shrouds, one of which is like this with just a cosmetic piston. The other one has a housing for a 19mm red dot sight, if you can find one. I had one that went in there, but I gave it to somebody else in a kit I did for them. So you get the pistol grip, you get two front shrouds, you get 6 side vents, even though you only use 2 of them, just 3 different designs, 2 laser tops, and there'll be a video instruction you can access how to, fit the pistol grip, because it's a bit tricky. That'll be on my Etsy site. The first one up I'll have hopefully within the next week or two. I'm just having a little trouble working out how to do it because, I'm old and it's a computer. Okay, so that's that. So look out for that if you want one of them. These will be digital kits. It'll be the file you need to print all the parts. I'm not going to print the parts and send them to you, simply because postage is murder at the moment. It's really ridiculous, even within Australia. So you need to have a 3D printer or access to a 3D printer. But once you've got one of them and you've got my kit, you can print yourself one. And I can't stop you. I would hope you wouldn't start printing them and giving away for free. I'm going to sell this kit for about $15 Australian, so it's probably about $10 US. And the reason I'm including all the spare bits and all the options is I've done the work, I've got them. It's just going in a file, so I don't mind that you're getting all these extra bits and pieces. That's up to you. You buy one kit, you could do 2 guns. Yeah, you could print yourself a second pistol grip from the original file. I wouldn't mind that at all. Look out for those in the next couple of weeks, I hope. Can't promise anything. What I'm doing now is just doing a quick test fit of everything before I go into the painting. I've done a bit of sanding, sorted. Right guys, final assembly just to see if there's any issues that I need to deal with, and of course there are. I've lost this plate, so I've got to print another one. Got to redo this magazine catch, because seeing this plate not in there, I can actually see it's contacting this pit, so that's why I'm having all these issues. So I've got to redesign that completely. Got to get rid of the Nerf logo here. There's a bit of text there that's got to go, so more than likely there's, yes, a Nerf logo there. I've got to fill this area with the modulus wording, so that'll probably be a fill job with a bit of putty. I've got to putty this, smooth it off, because this is actually looking good. That looks really good with that smoothness. Right guys, back again. You might notice a change in light. I've recently put a skylight in. It's early in the morning and I'm getting sunlight directly on my workbench, which is, I suppose, is a good thing. What I did last night, well, what the printer did last night was I printed this missing back bit. It's this one. Well, it's both of them actually, but this one I'm a bit happier with, because if I can just get it out, I actually put lugs so it actually catches on the side of this. And I'd had one of these before, but I can't find it, and I put this back together forgetting to put this in because I didn't have it. So I've just cut a slot out of each side so I can actually hook it in one side, get it past, and just slide it forward. Now that I've got that in place, it brings me to my next problem, which is this has a tiny little ridge sticking out the end. I don't know if you can see that. And it impacts with this bit, about there, like that. It was meant to sit on that ridge, but it doesn't. It's a bit too low. And no matter how hard I push and stretch things, I can't get it on. I can't get it to clear. That lug is hitting like that as opposed to sitting up like that. So what I've done, I'll put some green paint in the end of there, marked where it is, and I'm going to attempt to cut, scrape, grind this out. And when I do the actual kit I'm going to put on my Etsy site, I will make it a much more solid mating. Probably just make that flat, put a square lug in the center of that and a square recess in here. It just clicks in. I will get on with this. I'll start by scoring it and trying to do just what happened there, pull out a layer of plastic. Core on the back there, because that went straight under, which is good. This knife, this blade is getting a bit old, so when you're doing really fine, I hesitate to use the word precision for my work because I don't think it is. But I've got to cut in a particular area in a particular way, so I'm going to use a nice sharp blade. And as you know, a dull blade's more dangerous than a sharp blade, because you know what a sharp blade's going to do. There we go. That's just gone straight through the layer of plastic, and because I've done the old woodworking trick of cutting around where I want to remove, it's only cut to that point. There we go. I think I've just managed to have a win without slicing off an arm. Let's see how that goes. Brilliant, fits in. It has issues, in this case it's still a bit high when the magazine goes in, so it needs to come down like a millimetre and a half, so I'll have to print another one of those. I've done some preliminary sanding. It may look messy, but what happens at this stage is after I've put on the first undercoat, the red, I'll have a look at them again, and if there's areas that need filling and sanding, I'll redo them. I've always never shown that, but that's what you do, because it can look really rough, but you put paint on it, it's perfectly smooth. And it can look really smooth, and you put paint on it, there's a blemish there. So just let the paint tell you what's going on. Right guys, Andy Work back. How you doing? I've done some extra work, got rid of the logo, sanded things off, and I was looking at this and trying to fill these holes was getting me down, so I thought I'd have a go at a simple one, which is here, which is a relatively easy shape. And this is my first go. I just normally print a frame, and that's just a handle piece so I can handle it. But after careful measuring and putting it in, I had to go like so. That's almost it. Virtually got it right in the first time, which really I was really chuffed about. So I did it again and got it right. So I've got my shape, and then I just quickly molded myself up a piece to fit in. It's a different colour because it's ran out of the bone coloured filament. Got a couple of notches there to fit around that, and it just, oops, wrong one, and it just slots straight in. Nice tight friction fit. I'm really happy with that. So I thought I'd go back and do the same thing, and the reason that slots in and holds there is called these big walls at the side. So that's all you have to do. So I went back to this one, just made a flat plate, put some holes in it for a bit of detail, big flat walls. It just fits in really nice and tight, and I can lightly sand the top of that. So I'm working on one here. Here's one of my tries. This is the last try I did, and I've got these corner edges, this bottom corner edge lining up with this corner, but it's too far from this wall, so as we speak I'm printing another one. Hot off the press, just got my fine little bit. Did some rough measuring, just honestly didn't take that much care, but it's so wrong that it's such a nice tight fit. I'm going to stop there. I just put a couple of little supports on the inside there, so they'll give you a little bit of extra surface just to glue it in place. And what I'm going to do is each one of these is glue them in place, because I don't really need to get them. I'm going to spray black underneath that there, and you know the barrel will be sprayed black later, but at least that way, you know, I'm not going to lose them. So I'm going to go and print another one of them and then get on with the painting. Yeah, so all I really got to do now is finish sanding the buttstock, the front foregrip. I found that, yes, while sanding it with wet and dry really gives you a nice smooth finish, you've got to cover it totally, or you just see striations from the 3D printed part sticking through. So that's got to be done properly, then I'm ready to paint. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. Talk to you again soon. Bye.